Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Fearless Thinking, a podcast designed to help you navigate authentic leadership and the entrepreneurial journey. I'm your host, Michael Devous, and these are my thoughts, lessons, and insights from my entrepreneurial journey into coaching, workshops, motivational speaking, and of course, what I picked up from interviews with inspiring leaders and entrepreneurs along the way. My mission is to help people unlock their untapped potential by using fear as a catalyst for powerful change and growth, so they can step into the greatest version of their most authentic selves. All right, let's get into some fearless thinking. Hey, Fearless Thinkers, welcome back to the Fearless Thinking Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Devous. Last video, you saw me episode 41 I'm getting back on track this week. Oh, this has been, we got evacuated due to fires. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, getting my studio and everything back in order up here, and I recorded the videos for this week and then discovered that all of them except one had no audio, which makes it really hard for podcasts for you guys to listen. So I'm re-recording. I would hope that this would be just as genuine as the first time I recorded it, but that's really tough to pull off. So bear with me as we re-record 42, 43, 44, and 45. Frustrating. Anyway, all right, episode 42. This week we're talking about, what I did was I took all the episodes that I had prepared, rewrote them to incorporate my feelings and thoughts about the fire and being evacuated, and how that correlates to resiliency and integrity. And there's a couple of reasons for this, which I'll get into, of course, today, because today's episode is the hard things are the good things. Building resilience and integrity through adversity. There was a post on LinkedIn by Cherie Kang Jones about doing hard things and about a life without hard things, and what that would look like. And I had commented on her post that I don't think that that's possible. I've met a very, very, very few people who've had a life that didn't include what I would consider to be hard things. Now, mind you, everything is subjective and in its own perspective, right? So if you grew up in a life that was fairly simple and easy and not combative and not chaotic, when a small moment of obstacles come along, when a moment of obstacles comes into your path, that could feel very overwhelming to somebody who isn't built for chaos, who isn't built for and prepared for, and hasn't built up their resiliency to face challenges. Whereas those of us who've had many of them from day one, you kind of build up your resiliency skill set and your thick skin. And so when you face them, you think of life in terms of how much I've faced and how much was easy. It's very challenging to compare it to anybody else's experience, because every one of them is going to have something a little bit different than you do. And I personally do not believe that that life exists without hard things. It begins from the moment you start crawling. You have to. I actually wrote a journal entry, kind of a poem or speech about persistence. Why do we persist? Why do we resist? We're built to push back. We're built to flex our muscles. We're built to learn as human beings on this planet. The minute you start crawling, you are pushing against gravity to get off that ground. You are pushing against gravity to stand upright and learn to walk. And then from there on forward, every single thing you do, climbing, crawling, jumping, leaping, bicycling, you name it, is a challenge. You must learn to overcome the discrepancy between your skill set and the challenge you want to take on. You start doing this as a baby and you do it thousands and thousands of times over. So by the time you're an adult, this is part of your system. This is part of how you wake up every day. This is part of what we do. So why do we avoid certain challenges? And then as entrepreneurs, why do we bring on new ones? Why are we so obsessed with challenging ourselves and raising that bar every single month, every single week, every single year to bring our ideas and our passions and our dreams into the world? And I believe it's because we found some kind of joy, some kind of reward mechanism, some kind of response when we push ourselves and our limits towards those challenges. So, that's a large opener for our episode 42. For this week, for episode 42, we are exploring the undeniable truth that life is full of challenges. However, if we shift our perspective to see that these things, these hard things, are actually opportunities for our own personal and professional growth, resiliency, and creating deeper integrity, diving into these personal experiences of adversity, especially new ones that I just experienced, my family just experienced, to discuss strategies for us to stay true to our values while under pressure and discover how to emerge through these trials, on the other side of these trials, stronger and more authentic. So, tackling this topic, which is how to take on hard things that life throws our way, right? Well, first of all, I talk about making fear your friend. Fear is an aspect and a response mechanism that we have based on challenges that are put in front of us and the way that our brain interprets those challenges, determining whether or not we are valuable enough or worthy enough to take on that challenge. And then it inserts those doubts and inserts those fears and inserts those ideas and those thoughts about whether or not we can do, have, or become that next best version of our most authentic selves, because we just told the universe we want to do that. We want to have that. We want to be that. We want to bring that dream to life. We want to build that business. We want to change careers, build a family, go back to school, whatever it is, right? So these are the hard things. Remember, we invite them. I mean, other than this forest fire, which I don't think I invited. Certainly, I hope I don't have the ability and the power to do that. But all others, right? Almost 90% of all the others, right? Especially after you've gotten out of college and you're beyond the blaming everybody else game. You're beyond the it's my parents' fault, it's the way I was raised, it's the TV, it's my boss, it's my friends, it's my girlfriend, it's my boyfriend, all the excuses you can come up with to blame everybody else for how you got to where you are and who you are today. Chuck it. Doesn't matter. Makes no difference. It has no value. Unless you decide that it does. I mean, if that's what you want that to be your philosophy, that you can't do something because somebody else said, did, or whatever. If that's the rule you want to live by, if that's the tether you want to tie around your neck of success, stay there then, if that works for you. However, for those of us on the entrepreneurial journey, that's not going to work. And we know that. We know those things that built us, those things that shaped us, those things that created us do not define us. And therefore, we step out into the world asking for more from the world in order to help redefine us, right? From our own challenges, our own decisions, and our own choices. That's the resiliency. That's the hard things. Those are the stumbling blocks and stepping stones and obstacles that are coming along our fearless road that we seek out to help us grow. And so recently, when I faced a very hard thing firsthand while the wildfires were raging on behind the hill here near our family home, we had to evacuate. And this was a very terrifying experience for all of us, filled with uncertainty and fear, but mostly anxiety. Like, let me talk a little bit about the difference between fear and anxiety. I didn't look this up, by the way, but I'm just going to run it right off of my head. Fear I don't believe that fear is a feeling. Like, love is an emotion. Joy is an emotion. Anger is an emotion. Fear is not, to me, I don't believe that fear is an emotion. I believe fear is a chemical response to something that's happening, and your brain is assigning a value to it. Okay? So what I mean by that is your mind perceives an obstacle or a challenge coming in front of you for something that you've decided to take on. Your brain interprets the challenge in front of you with regards to success and failures and begins to insert doubt. We may not be able to do that. You might not be prepared to do that. You might not be worthy of taking that on. You might not know enough. You might not have enough. You might not have learned enough. You might not know enough people, right? Enough, 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 enough. Worthy, 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 worthy. It's all about this worthiness of getting the thing that you want to have in front of you. And your brain interprets your ability, your past of what you've done, your skill sets, your commitment, your integrity, your trustworthiness as to whether or not it's worth taking on this challenge. And it will insert doubt into that parable, into that paradox, into that equation, or whatever you want to call it. Because if there's an unknown, right, meaning if there's not a beginning, middle, and end of that story that your brain can't see, it's going to fill it with those doubts. Okay? So that very idea about fear not being an emotion, but being a mental and chemical response, of course, real, not real fear, but fear of the amygdala sort, meaning I'm running for my life and I'm scared from something, is not an emotion. The anxiety you feel after that could be an emotion. Sadness, depression, anger, frustration, all of those things are emotions you can feel as a result of the chemical response of your body, putting you in a state of fight or flight. Now, anxiety, to me, which is can be fear-based, of course, can have an aspect of fear that could be something that comes out of fear. And I feel like anxiety is a long-term, constant state of that fear stasis, right? So the fear begins, right, with an action or a step or a thing that took place. That's the first thing. It's non-continuous. It doesn't exist the whole time, but in your mind, the unknown outcome is what creates that anxiety that then stretches out over time until an answer can be had, until you can fill in that blank at the end and answer that open-ended question, what's going to happen? And I was feeling so much anxiety over this situation because there were so many unknown variables. With the fire, had I prepared enough? Did I have the right insurance? Oh my God, my stuff was going to burn down. How do I rebuild it? What if I can't rebuild it? What should I do? I'm in the middle of launching a new business and I've got clients and I've got my podcast. How do I make sure I have the right equipment? And can I keep recording? Well, if I do keep recording in the middle of this, am I exploiting the very nature of this experience for my own benefit? There were so many things I was carrying in my head. It filled me with anxiety. I didn't fear for my life per se because I knew we were prepared well in advance to leave early enough to avoid any of that particular type of risk. But the anxiety around my parents, making sure they were okay, the property, all the other families and the people in the neighborhoods around here, and just that my home would be gone, that a piece of us could potentially be gone was I carried a lot of that anxiety with me, which interfered with my ability to concentrate and do the things that I needed to do to keep moving forward, right, with the business. So when I referenced Cherie Kane Jones's post, right, we can do hard things. She writes this beautiful post about what it's like to face hard things in life and how life is more valuable because we can face these hard things. And she's 100% right, I believe. There isn't a life out there where we don't face challenges, big or small. Like I said from the beginning, it's the moment you start crawling and trying to stand up. We were built for this. So is it any wonder that life will throw them our way? First of all, out of just general circumstances. Second of all, if you're like me and you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your life and your dream or whatever, an executive, a leader, whatever, you're asking the universe to put those challenges in front of you because you want to grow, change. You want to become and have and do and be the next greatest version of yourself. You've announced it to the world, to the universe, to God, whatever, that you want to do this. You want to be this next thing. And in order for you to grow into that bigger version of yourself, you got to work the muscles. You got to stretch. You got to grow. You got to push against resistance and overcome certain obstacles and challenges, which is what makes life, worth it, right? So now the question becomes, how do we prepare for the hard things? Now, I talked about this fire. I hadn't prepared really for this fire. My parents had. They had their go bags because they'd been through this before, and I had not. And I, quite honestly, just was sort of like befuddled, a little bit confused, because my concentration was really on the property at that moment when we got the notification that we should get prepared, and it was about getting the sprinkler lines out and as many hoses as we could and as many sprinkler heads as we could and everything else, and making sure they were hooked up and that they were running, and creating a water line between us and the fire, just in case it got this close. Maybe we could defend the house, right, and the property. How do we navigate these hard things with integrity and resilience, and then use them as a fuel for growth? This experience has taught me that resilience, while, it isn't about avoiding difficulties. I don't know anybody who thinks resiliency is about avoiding difficulties. You can't avoid, well, I suppose you could avoid difficulties. If you're avoiding difficulties, you're not growing. In fact, you're growing in a very different direction, if that's possible to make that statement. You're shrinking. If you're not facing the challenges that's coming in front of you, you're avoiding life, and you're avoiding change, and you're avoiding growth. And if you're avoiding growth, you're stagnating or you're reversing. And that's not healthy, and it's not productive, and it's not us. It's just not what entrepreneurs do. So, facing these adversities, these difficulties, these challenges head on, with a mindset of learning from them and then coming out the other side stronger is a practice and a skill. It is something that I am very determined to do every time something comes up, looking at it, recognizing it as a challenge, and saying to myself, oh my gosh, I called this forth from the universe. I guess I better face this and take it on. If you can build your lift kit, your suspension system, right, your safety net for your soul, if you will, that helps you be ready to take on whatever the life's path and road throws your way, there are a few tools you can use that I think are helpful in terms of building resilience and maintaining a sense of integrity in the face of adversity. One of those is embracing the challenge. Now, I'll say 7 times out of 10, whenever a challenge happens, something big that comes down my road, something unexpected especially, I take a moment and I go, you need to identify this as a challenge and a roadblock. You need to identify this as something that's standing in our way, and you've invited it from the universe to grow. What is it? How is it affecting you? What do you want to do about it? And how do we want to move forward, right? Instead of fearing this challenge, this hard thing, we have to see, we can invite ourselves to see them as an opportunity for growth and transformation. You can make a statement, which is, I see this obstacle in front of me. I recognize you as an opportunity for growth and transformation. I'm going to keep an open mind, and I'm going to ask the universe for other perspectives and ways to solution myself through this. Thank you, universe, for the opportunity to grow. I welcome this challenge. Now let's go. Next is number 2, lean on your community. So community is a valuable and important aspect of making sure that you are well supported, especially at times when life throws some real hard stuff your way. Surrounding yourself with people who can support you and lift you up and offer guidance during these times is crucial. I have a very core group of individuals around me that I'm almost always reaching out to for support and for help. Now, they'll always tell you I don't reach out enough. They'll always say that I need to do more, that I should be reaching out more. I'm a super independent individual who doesn't like to lean on people too much. So until I've reached my breaking point, or a point where I really feel like I need to, I feel like I should be protecting them from my crap, and not dumping it on their laps. So that comes with its own issues and problems, obviously. But when it comes to things like a big challenge like a fire, being evacuated, it's important to be able to have that community to lean on. That's one of the reasons why I'm building the Ascend Hub, your online membership community for entrepreneurs leaders and mentors who are seeking resources, support, guidance on their road to success. That is part of what I'm building inside there. I want a community of individuals, like-minded and like-valued individuals, to support each other and collaborate together on our dreams, our passions, and our journeys as entrepreneurs, so that we can be better together, so we can succeed faster, farther, further, greater. Um, 3 is reframing our perspective. Now, if you've listened to this show, I talk about perspective a lot. Perspectives are like lenses, right? Fine-tuned lenses to see solutions from multiple angles. You can't have enough perspectives, right? You need more experiences, more people around you with diverse experiences and diverse lives, so that they can share with you their perspective, so that you can begin to see every problem, every situation, every obstacle, every opportunity from a very different set of perspectives and angles. Solutions can come in many different forms, in many different ways. The variables that come along with life in general and all of the problems it's going to throw at you are so vast that if you only have one perspective, only one way of viewing things, man, you're lost. You're not going to make it. It's not going to work. You're going to have a super frustrating life all the way around. The more perspectives you have, the more tools you have in your toolbox, the better capable you are of assessing the situation and coming up with the best possible solution for you and everyone around you. So remember, reframing our perspective about shifting our mindset to see that challenge in front of us as an opportunity and a stepping stone on our path to success. We have invited these opportunities. Remember that. We ask for the universe to help us grow. This is one of them. This is one of those challenges. Remember, when it comes up and it pops up and it appears, there's a reason for you to step up and step into the growth opportunity that is in front of you. And reframing your perspective can really help you face it with not just resiliency, but with an open mindset. 4 is anchor in your values. Now, if you've reached this point in your life as an entrepreneur, you've gotten this far, you have values. You have certain criteria, perspectives, values, purpose, passion that shape your entire life and your existence. And you use those both in business and in friendship in order to maintain your compass. And in moments of crisis, your values can be that compass. That can be your true north, helping you hold on to them tightly and keep you focused on where you're headed and why you're headed there. That can bring you a lot of support and comfort, knowing that your values are fully intact, that you're sticking to them, and you're going to make it through. 5 is seek purpose. Now, if you're chasing a dream and a passion and you're bringing it to life in the world as an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, that's your purpose. Your purpose is to bring your idea to life. It is to share your gifts with the universe and the world. Share your voice, your message, right? Finding meaning in the struggle is part of that purpose. It's part of defining and teasing out from that journey the very thing that fuels your passion and your drive, right? That just because you said you're going to bring this dream to life doesn't mean that it's not going to come with its own obstacles and its own challenges, and then begin to redefine what that purpose really is. The result is still the same. You're going to bring that service to life. You're going to bring that product to life. You're going to bring that dream to life. But the purpose behind doing it may shift as a result of what you discover about yourself along the way as these challenges come and you're faced with them. So remember, seeking your purpose, holding tight to your values, reframing your perspective, leaning on our community, and embracing the challenge are the 5 steps that we can use when something big like this comes up and we're kind of thrown for a loop. Now, I was thrown for a loop. Honestly, anxiety-ridden. I went to my doctor actually to ask for help for that, to get on anxiety medication, because I was feeling it like up to my neck. And it was very challenging to focus and concentrate, and I'm just now getting back into things. And I will be sharing clips and things from my experience along the way. I recorded some things. I just felt weird about doing it at the time, but I will be sharing them in posts and stuff, so you can sort of see a little bit of that and get a little insight of my vulnerability while managing this. And, I had a nervous breakdown in the middle of it. I did. I just had buried a friend of mine a wonderful dear brother of mine at the beginning of May. I did his celebration of life, and was launching this business and the fire, and I just, I hit a wall. I hit an emotional wall, and that's okay. I needed that breakdown. I needed that moment of crying. I needed that moment of like just pouring myself out and then regrouping. So remember, the hard things in life are not the end of our road, not the end of our fearless road. They're just the beginning of a new chapter about who we want to become and who we want to be, right? The choices we want to make in the face of resiliency and obstacles that are coming, challenges that are coming. And they are the fire that forges our strength, the obstacles that reveal our resilience and our capabilities, right? And the experiences that will ultimately shape our legacy. So remember, embrace hard things. Can't have life without them. You just can't. And if they're coming, why not learn to embrace them and transform them and let them transform you and redefine you as an ultimately great individual who steps into the most authentic version of your greatest self, right? Leading you to your greatest potential. So thank you for listening today. Episode 42, re-recorded yet again. I'm going to re-record 43, 44, and 45 here because I didn't do sound for some reason. But, hey, this is what we face. This is what happens, dropping them balls and picking them back up again and running with them. That's what we gotta do. So remember, have a great day. I'm so sorry these are delayed getting out to you guys. It's been really bothering me that I haven't been on target with these, but I will be talking about that in terms of personal integrity in the next episodes. So have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Be kind to everybody that you know, and think fearlessly. Okay? All right. Bye.